What's up, YouTube? Today we're going to be looking at the Master League for the first time on this channel. That is right, except we're not looking at the regular Master League. We're looking at the Master League Premier. And that's just because I'm a free-to-play player when it comes to Pokemon Go, and that means that I cannot afford to buy raid passes and um, remote raid every single legendary Pokemon like 50 plus times to get the XLs necessary for the full-on Master League at a high level. So what I've decided is I'm going to play Master League Premier. I've got a few Pokemon that I've powered up to level 50, and that includes, and is not limited to, we've got Annihilate, Gengar, my newly built Metagross, Goodra, and Melmetal. So yeah, my selection is very slim. Melmetal is actually a mythical, so it's not even allowed in this cup. So that leaves me with 4 Pokemon. So I built a team with 3 of them today. 2 of them you have on screen now. You've got Metagross and Gengar, and that's because these are both my backline. I'm running this in kind of like an ABB style team. And you'll notice Metagross and Gengar, for some reason, they share a lot of weaknesses, even though they don't share any typings. So they're both weak to Dark, they're both weak to Ground, and they're both weak to Ghost. So the only difference really is the Fire and the Psychic. So ideally, you'd want something on the lead that resists the majority of those things, like maybe potentially was like a Flyer that could resist Dark. So like Togekiss maybe would have been a better alternative, but I don't have a Togekiss built. And when it comes to it, that would make you ABA weak to fire, so you know it's not the end of the world. So instead we went with a Goodra lead. So how about we just hop right into some battles? You'll see some pretty great sets here today. And right away into the first match we have a Magnezone. So now you might think this is not a great lead because it's a Steel and Dragon Breath is resisted. But we're Dragon, and they're a Volt Switch user, which means that all of their moves are resisted as well. So the only thing we really have to look out for is a Flash Cannon. And now my opponent has built up past Flash Cannon, so I will respect it. And they actually are only running probably Wild Charge and maybe Mirror Shot, so they full send the Wild Charge. So at this point, I'm going to let that go, and then they come in with Primarina. And it looks like it was Waterfall Primarina, so I can actually stay in this matchup if I'd like. Get off another Thunder Punch before they can even make it to the Disarming Voice. And at this point, my opponent has to start using some shields. We go for a Disarming Voice catch, but we're unsuccessful, so at this point, we're probably just going to sacrifice the Gengar. We will make it to another move before they're able to take us out, so if they want Switch, they're going to have to shield this. And they actually let that go for farm on the Magnezone, but that's fine because we can just come right back in with Goodra. We can probably still eat a Wild Charge at this health range. Goodra is very tanky. They go only Mirror Shot, and then they come in with a Waterfall Gyarados, which means that allows us to get to another Thunder Punch that is shield that. So we're not looking great because Waterfall Gyarados has a great matchup against Metagross. But fortunately for us, we do have a shield advantage, and Waterfall means they're going to get to these moves a little bit slower, and they do full send the Crunch, which is huge, and they don't get the debuff, which is also huge. So now we can build up to the Meteor Mash. It looks like it's just going to take 2 to take them out, and we probably will just barely outpace the next move. It looks like that was actually on CMP, so just barely getting to that move before they get to it, it just barely takes out, and it's just that low HP Magnezone, and we can get the full Bullet Punch farm down to take the win. Into the next lead, another Magnezone. Okay, that's kind of crazy. Was the last one Purified and Best Buddied as well? It's not the same matchup because this one threw right away after 3, so we know this can only be either a Mirror Shot or a Wild Charge. Fortunately for us, they do not get the debuff, and then I accidentally overfarmed there and played to a CMP tie that I don't win. Just another Mirror Shot, which is unfortunate because now they get the attack drop. So that means this Aqua Tail actually do less damage, so I really needed to get that off before, but I just either tapped too late or lagged, not really sure. This time we're throwing on good timing, getting off the Aqua Tail before they make the next move. If they full send a Wild Charge here, it will do a good amount of damage, but it still won't take us out. Like I said, Goodra's very tanky. And they full send the Wild Charge, but that just lets us get the full farm down. And what's in the back? It is a chestnut. So at this point, I bank nearly 2 Hydro Cannons, and then expecting a Rhyperior in the back, I come in Metagross. Even though Gengar is typically the safe stop for this team, I was expecting Rhyperior, and I knew that Bullet Punches and Meteor Mashes would do decent damage and maybe even grab a shield, which is exactly what happened. They full send the Rock Breaker, and that still doesn't take me out, which means I get to another move here. So if they shield this, I have an Aqua Tail loaded, which will immediately take them out. And even though they're at the move, I can just shield this. Even if they get the debuff, it will put them low enough that my Gengar will be able to take them out, which means I'd be able to let the next one go. But they don't get the debuff that takes them out, and we have Gengar in the back to absolutely wall the chestnut. So we take that game. Gengar has some very unique play into both the meta and the anti-meta. Obviously, you want to avoid Rhyperior at all costs because it literally takes like 6 mud slaps to take you out, and then you're done. But other than Rhyperior, it's got a lot of unique and neutral play into the meta. In this first match, obviously, we're just going to play it out because we do not want our backline to see this. We won't shield the first. Sorry, I said surf, even though I wasn't expecting a surf. Just because of what came up on screen, and they actually double shield. And if they send another surf here, I'll survive. But it looks like I do want to preserve the Goodra in case they run, in case they full send the Rock Breaker, which they do. So now we get switch and shield advantage. Unfortunately, they do get the full farm down with Powder Snow on their Mamoswine for our Goodra. Which means they can get to a high horsepower here. They full send it, which is good because now, unfortunately, I cannot send in Gengar because Gengar would be absolutely smoked by the Snorlax. So now I have to stay in this matchup, which is unfortunate because we need it. But we catch when they get to back-to-back superpower. So if this is a superpower, we won this game, and it is, which is huge. And now we're just over farming here because we knew that a Shadow Punch would not take out from that range, even though it's Shadow, it is double resisted, but they're on super power Body Slam. And then they catch the Shadow Punch onto their Mamoswine, which is fine because we can just make it to another Shadow Punch. We actually make it to the back-to-back. So now they cannot afford to shield this. And they let that go. And then we catch what has to be a superpower to do any meaningful damage, which means they've lowered their attack and defense, and we banked the move of the Shadow Punch to take them out. So a lot of bouncing around in that game there, but we take the win. You may have seen in the middle of that game that I full sent an Earthquake. That is a mistake. Always go Meteor Mash to neutral matchups. It literally, even though it's less energy, it actually does more damage. I had to look that up afterwards. This is my first time using Metagross. I didn't know that. So Meteor Mash is just the better move to go for. In these kind of matchups, when you see a Primarina on the lead, you might be inclined to switch out as soon as you see it. But always check the fast move because Goodra actually has, I don't know why 2 waterfalls got through there. Goodra actually has a good matchup here into the Primarina. And then they come in with an actual Charmer. So I come in with Gengar, and then we bait out the Rhyperior. Looks like that wasn't great timing. So that will take us out either way. We're not going to get to a second move. But fortunately for us, we preserve the Goodra. They did get the full farm down, which isn't great. But now we can take one move because Goodra's bulky. They get the Breaking Swipe off. They're going to get another one off, which is pretty unfortunate because if they understand why we're shielding here, then they're probably going to shield back, which means I'll be forced to come in with my Metagross, and they do. They shield. So I have to come in with my Metagross. Fortunately, Bullet Punches and Meteor Mash, both super effective. We can take any move here. Everything's going to be resisted. They just go Breaking Swipe. They do lower my attack, which is unfortunate, but this Meteor Mash will still take out from this range. And now they just have a Togekiss, which is low on energy, up against a Metagross. And we get to the Meteor Mash. This is super effective damage. It will absolutely take out the Togekiss from that range. And we take that game. One thing you'll notice about this team is that I don't have a single hundo. That's just luck of the draw. Can't really say anything about that. Into the next match, we have a Chestnut on the lead. They come in with Gyarados, so I build up to the Thunder Punch, and then I'm baiting with the Aqua Tail. And then it looks like I'm just going to stay in this matchup because I have two good matchups for Chestnut in the back as well. Chestnut doesn't really have any play into my team. Unfortunately, they get the Crunch debuff, which means I cannot make it to another Thunder Punch. But my opponent's counts were off, fortunately, and we're able to take a 2-shield advantage even though we lose the lead matchup. They bait with an Aqua Tail for some reason. I was no shielding the first in case they got the Crunch debuff, but fortunately they did not. They just full set the Aqua Tail, which allows me to now get the Meteor Mash off, and then they come in with Primarina, so that tells me they're pretty weak to Metagross in the back because we know they are. They have got the Chestnut. Obviously, we're just going to full send this, then we're going to come in with the Gengar to fully wall it. We've got 2 shields. My opponent is still throwing for some odd reason. I will shield 1 Frenzy because 1 Frenzy will actually hurt. And then I'm going to farm up, get off this Shadow Punch, and we will shield this up because a Hydro Cannon will do more damage than anything else. And that allows us to go for 1 extra Shadow Claw, the Sludge Bomb, and this should just about take out the Primarina to take that win. And there is the first 5-0 set of the video. So Ursaluna, this is pretty tough for our backline, so this is where we want to see it on the lead. We make it to the Aqua Tail at the same time that they would make either Ice Punch, Thunder Punch, or Swift. Most of them are running Swift in this meta. This one is glowing, which means it could be on return, but we have yet to see that because they switch into their Goodra. We come in as a response with the Metagross. Obviously, all their charge moves are neutral here, but so are ours, and we resist their Dragon Breaths. So we can very comfortably take this matchup without shielding, which is good because we want to come out with energy if we can. And we can actually even survive another Aqua Tail if they make it, which they do, just barely. We can let this go, limit farm for their Pokemon when they come back in. I will probably blind throw the Meteor Mash here, which I do. So that's good. Get this off on the Ursaluna. They actually let me take it out, and they have a Primarina in the back, and they don't even wait to see what my final Pokemon is. Venusaur in the lead. Yeah, so a lot of people, Venusaur has nowhere to go against my team. So I'm going to do the same thing, though. I'm going to go up to the Thunder Punch and bait with the Aqua Tail because they always shield this. And yeah, Venusaur doesn't really have anywhere to go on this team, so I'm inclined to just kind of stay in this matchup. A lot of people are running anti-meta because they're expecting Primarina Rhyperior cores. This can only be another Aqua Tail, so I can survive this and still get off a Thunder Punch. So they're either going to have to go down 2 shields or down 1 shield and switch, which they let me get. And then they come in with Venusaur, get the full farm out. I'll probably just come in Metagross here, and then it's Dragonite in the back, so they have absolutely no chance. AB weak to Steel. I'm not really sure what the play is there. But yeah, I mean, Venusaur does break that core, and it is kind of a sneaky pick, but anyways, we see Annihilate in the next match. They come in with Metagross, so we're going to meet them with our Gengar, because our Gengar is really good here, Shadow Punches, and they can survive 1 move, which means I will have to shield up the next, which is fine in order to keep Switch, because we do want to keep Switch here. We don't really want the Annihilate on our Metagross. That being said, if they come back in with the Annihilate, that means they're probably pretty weak to the Gengar, which they do, because counters are double resisted. I've got super effective Shadow Punches and super effective Shadow Claws, so this is not a good matchup for the Annihilate. They're going to have to give up several shields probably just to take us out, and these Shadow Claws are doing a lot of damage, so yeah, they're now forced to throw their energy. This is probably going to be a Night Slash. It is a Night Slash. Get ready to see a lot more. Of course they get bailed out with the boost, but we still look like we almost get the farm down, and then they have a Magnezone in the back, so we're just going to farm up right before they get to 3, go for the Aqua Tail. I think this is the match I didn't respect the Flash Cannon. I think I let this go, and it turns out to be the Flash Cannon, which is pretty unfortunate for me. But they actually can't really get the Volt Switch farm down, so it's kind of okay. Gruja's tanky. But yeah, expect to see a lot more Annihilates very soon, just because Rage Fist is coming out and it looks like a really good move based on what has been data mined. Um, so yeah, um, it's probably going to be running Rage Fist close combat, and it's going to be dangerous, especially in this Master League. And I have one built, so I'll probably be running it as well. I'll probably just have to use an Elite TM. But into the next match, I forgot what was on the lead, but they come in with Ursaluna, and I don't have a good response. But if I need my Guja on the front, then I need it on the front. I tried to call a Swift bait here. I was unsuccessful. They full send the high horsepower, which is unfortunate because now, even though they let the meter match through, they get the full farm down, so they have now gained switch advantage. I can't really farm them down with Gengar from that range, so I will just come back with the Gudra. Hopefully this is just a Swift, and it is, so that is good. We can survive that pretty comfortably. And it's a fairy in the back, so now we basically need our Gengar to sweep. But look at the mud shot damage from this Swampert. Yeah, so we needed that Gudra on the Swampert. Swampert was on the lead. Fortunately, we have two shields here, and I'm more than comfortable expending both. Especially because I can farm out, and even if this doesn't take out, that might actually be better for me, because then I can just shield up their move and then come out with a Sludge Bomb loaded, and then I'm pretty sure I have a move loaded on the Gudra, so I can maybe even do a little bit of a combo play there. And then they actually realize what's happening, they come in with the Florges, we full send the Sludge Bomb, come in with the Gudra, we're almost at a move, we finally get there. This actually probably will not be enough to take out. Fortress is also pretty tanky. Yeah, so they actually make it to the move here. This probably will KO from this range. They full send the Moonblast, absolutely will. We get a Shadow Claw in, and another Shadow Claw in to take the win. Okay, I think we've got like 2 more matches in this video. Goldango. Okay, this is a tough Pokemon for this team. Obviously, we are kind of ABA weak. Our Metagross and our Gudra don't have great matchups here. I am lagging a little bit in this match, as you can see, but we're just going to stay in this matchup. Goldango, especially on Astonish, is really slow to the moves. So my plan here is the Dragon Blast are actually doing decent damage, and this Aqua Tail would do a decent amount of chip. So I'm just going to force them to use their shield if they want to keep this matchup. And I'm not going to go down 2 shields. I can just come in Gengar at this point and fully farm them down without risking too much damage on my Gengar. And then they come in with Roserade, which is a little bit interesting, especially because they could be running Weather Ball. So I actually decide to just stay in this matchup. If it's a Weather Ball, it won't take me out. It's non-stab. It's a pretty weak move, but it still does a lot to a Gengar. I do farm up a little bit more, and I throw on not ideal timing just to get this move off because they're actually at another move. At this point, I can just let this go because Metagross will be able to farm them down before they can make it to another Weather Ball. So my opponent just resigns the match. Clearly, whatever they had in the back was also weak to Metagross. Golisopod. This is another tough Pokemon for this team. Obviously, it annihilates our backline, so this is exactly where we want to see it. They farm up and they try to CMP time me on the Thunder Punch. I did not throw my move because I did not want to let a move sneak. And then they come in with Rhyperior. So that's actually really nice because we also want our Gudra for the Rhyperior. So now I'm just going to farm up to another Aqua Tail. They can survive one pretty comfortably. And now they're going to make it to another move. I don't really have a choice here. I have to shield. My Gudra is the only Pokemon that can kind of deal with both the Rhyperior and the Golisopod, and unfortunately, I overfarmed just a tad and accidentally throw on the CMP tie there, which is unfortunate because now we're going to have the Golisopod against our Metagross. We can survive one move here, and a Meteor Mash will probably put them in the deep red, but it will not take out. So we farm up right before they get to the next move. Get off that Meteor Mash, and they actually shield, so that's kind of surprising. And then they let me get to another Meteor Mash, so maybe they were unaware of my counts, and that actually does take out, and then they've got a Fairy in the back, so that's just my opponent completely screwing up that game and letting me take the win. But I probably should have gotten that Aquatail off anyways, and then either Force a Shield or taken them out, and then it would have had Switch, and it would have gone well probably either way. But yeah, I mean, that was the team. I'll probably definitely look forward to an Annihilate showcase. I'm sure plenty of other content creators will be doing it, but I'll probably run it um, maybe with the same backline. 2 answers to Fairy could work. That does make you triple weak to Ghost, though. So maybe not. We will see what I run with that team. Maybe I'll run something in the lead that's good against fairies, and then maybe a double weakness to fairy in the back line like Gudra and Annihilate. We'll see. But yeah, that's the team. That's a video. Gengar obviously put in a lot of work. I thought it was a really cool spice pick, and it walled so many Pokemon. You saw the Venusaur, the Chestnut, all these anti-meta picks. Gengar absolutely destroys. And yeah, it honestly just put in a lot of work. The new punt, like previously you didn't run Shadow Punch. Now you do because the damage is actually worth it, which means you can have the Sludge Bomb coverage, which is really nice for it. It's got good pacing now. It's got a bait move. Both moves have good damage per energy. It's got a great Shadow Claw fast move. So it makes it pretty usable. I did climb with this team from like low 2600s to mid 2800s at the moment. I tanked. I was at 2911 and then I dropped super low. But this team has actually helped me climb back up. So honestly, even though it's an off-meta pick, it worked really, really well for me. So yeah, that's the team. That's the video. Thank you all very much for watching, and I will see you next time. Peace.